Well, well, well. Look who's running back to mommy with their tail between their legs. Microsoft has decided to shake up the pricing wars that we've been having with video games because, yes, they've decided that $80 is too much for a video game, and actually they've taken quite a bold stance on that. Like, what idiot would actually think $80 is the right price for a video game? Am I right, guys? Ooh. But this has really, really big implications for the market and where video games are going to be priced moving forward. And also, they're still trying to sneak the whole upping the price of consoles the older they get by us. So it's not like they're our friends suddenly, but it does paint a very interesting picture. We've been talking about how the prices are changing for a pretty long time now. We've been talking about games like GTA 6 potentially going up to even $100 and creating a whole new pricing tier for super premium games. We've seen other games occupy a new pricing slot of around $50, and not just any games like Expedition 33, which is still a frontrunner for Game of the Year. We've seen indies fluctuate between $5 to $10 to $30 to $40. It seems like it's a free-for-all, but the biggest part of the entire conversation is, where is the standard for the big AAA games that end up selling the most? And for a while, it seemed like we were heading for $80. That wasn't me who said that. That was actually, let me check my note. Microsoft. That was Xbox. The guys who are saying that's not the case now. Now, Nintendo, in a world of their own, they're still there and Microsoft is firing shots. But the fact that they are saying that their upcoming holiday games, plural, S, are going to be priced at $70 is big, because if you look at their release calendar, they got two full-priced premium games, The Outer Worlds, which is the one they used for this announcement, and Call of Duty Black Ops 7. So I know you guys, and I know a lot of you, maybe not the biggest fans of Call of Duty's AI-generated skins of Beavis and Butthead smoking pot. But Call of Duty is probably still the biggest game release every year. And if it's priced at $70, that is a very big statement to the entirety of the gaming industry that $80 is out of line for what customers want. And it's an interesting strategy that Xbox is taking now as they transition towards a third-party studio. So let's take a look at what this all means. By the way, hi, I'm Mug, and if you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new here, welcome back. It's great to see you. You are looking just, man, ravishing. That's a word, right? That's not a vegetable. Now, if you like the video at any point, hit the like button, because that helps the video spread farther into the algorithm, helps it reach more people, and hopefully this sort of information is useful to them. And if you really like the way that I cover the world of video games, from news, reviews, previews, whatever have you, don't subscribe yet. Wait until the end of the video. Make sure that what I do is worth your time. Let's get into it. Now, this isn't the first time that the gaming industry makes a terrible pricing mistake to the backlash of pretty much everybody, and then has to course correct pretty quickly. Even though Nintendo was the first company to dip their little toes into the pool of $80, Microsoft was the first one to actually execute on it with this year's Doom: The Dark Ages. And they're also the first ones to pivot back, unless we consider the rumors of Borderlands 4 being 80 and then turning out to be 70, which, yes, does matter in the growing momentum of 70 is still the standard. But we've seen these sorts of price corrections for a pretty long time. We've actually seen it from things like the PS3's subsequent SKUs after people just lambasted it for costing $600. Some of you, according to my statistics, like 7% of you, don't know what $600 was in 2006. It was a lot, guys. We saw it with Nintendo's release of the 3DS, which did not take off the way they wanted it to, and they had to lower the price and compensate the people who came early. We saw it from Xbox themselves when they tried to almost double the price of Xbox Live Gold just to say, oops, my bad. And we are seeing it once again. Turns out that $80 might actually be too much. It's almost like it's something that everybody has been saying. Everybody except Microsoft this last week. Now, their course correction comes with this wonderful quote at Insider Gaming, where Microsoft is quoted as saying, "We're focused on bringing players incredible worlds to explore, and we will keep our full-priced holiday releases, including The Outer Worlds 2, at $69.99, in line with current market conditions." Now, please remember that this very May, Xbox said that they were raising prices to $80 with careful consideration given to market conditions and the rising cost of development. So I wonder what happened between May and now. It's basically just the release of Doom: The Dark Ages, but also at this point, most of Xbox's games really matter to them on Game Pass, except wait, they don't, because now they want to go as third party as possible. So that actually means they are there to dictate the prices of not Xbox games, but PC games and PlayStation games. But look, the most important part of all of this is that little blip where they say that actually it's about their upcoming holiday games. That plural there, as I said in the intro, could only mean Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a juggernaut, and I'm not just talking about the perk in the game. It is a sales force. It is clearly far and ahead the biggest mainstream franchise in video games. And you can't really compete with something that is that powerful, that governs those many sales, and stand up to it at $70 and say, well, I'm gonna be 80. Battlefield 6 at $80, everybody? I mean, unfortunate timing if this does turn out to actually be with Call of Duty in mind.
It's hard to believe that DICE invited me all the way to their headquarters to play Battlefield 6, here in Stockholm, Sweden. And that's because they didn't. I'm in Oslo, Norway, for completely unrelated reasons. But geographically, it's close, 6 hours by train. And that's gotta count for something. So, why am I interrupting this video? Well, very simple. Because what I said just a moment ago, the mug from the past,
Battlefield 6 at $80, everybody? I mean,
has come true. And Battlefield 6 will not be $80. It will be $70. And that is, my friends, me being right, as per usual. Some people call me prophetic, but most people call me John.
But it doesn't stop just there. Sure, Nintendo can try and do whatever they want, but how are you going to position your own game if you are, I don't know, a Ghost of Yotei at 80 when Call of Duty announces they're coming out at 70? If you're trying to compete in that premium AAA, you now have to really try hard to justify $80 or, I guess, be Mario Kart. And while it isn't confirmed, it's just heavily implied or incredibly obfuscating and confusing language that Call of Duty will be 70. We just think it. There's no confirmation on it. That would mean, at least in my opinion, a long-term shift back to 70 as the standard, and going over it would require, let's say, some big cojones. Now, with all of this talk up and down about prices and where they're headed and what we're doing with them, there is one very important part that people seem to keep ignoring that I think is incredibly insidious. We're also worried about the prices of games that we're not really seeing the forest for the trees, which is that the game consoles are also going up in price. And no, I don't mean that the PlayStation 6 will cost more than the PS5 because of inflation. No. I'm saying that the PS5 costs more today than it did when it came out. Now, some people will be very quick to blame tariffs, and while that is true in some cases, like currently, the Switch price is going up only in North America exclusively because of the tariffs, to the point that now the Switch OLED is competing with the Switch 2. I guess we're just imitating Apple on price tiering now. In many other cases, like PlayStation and Xbox, that is not the case. They are raising the price worldwide using tariffs as a convenient smokescreen
to just try and make more money off of the hardware. And as much as we can try and find excuses for these companies along the lines of, well, if the materials that they use to build these consoles is going up in price, that price needs to be passed on to the customer. But that's not true, because pretty much everything else in tech that uses the same materials is offering better products for the same price, or if they are raising the price, they are also upgrading the products, be that phones, audio, monitors, whatever you want. And these consoles, which are identical to the version that we got on launch day, are costing more money for no benefit to the customer.
Xbox raised the price on their consoles this very year, and they're not backing down from that. Now, in the mind of a lot of people, that's a worthwhile investment, and that price increase can be justified, especially if now we have the goodwill of people like Xbox lowering the price back down and standardizing it at $70. But the truth is that it's still more money coming out of the customer's pocket. To me, that isn't even the insidious part. The dangerous part about consoles increasing in price over time is that they're telling you that the best time to buy it is at launch. The console doesn't lose value, it gains it while having more outdated technology. Gone are the days of seeing releases of Slims or Pro models. No, the Pros are now almost inaccessible when we look at something like the PS5 Pro, and forget hardware revisions and new SKUs that offer you better value or slightly upgraded things. No. Now, it's the same model you got day one. You can choose to pay a lower price on day one or a higher price 4 years in. The way they're doing this is incredibly manipulative, and they're trying to hide the absolute thirst for money by saying, hey, software isn't that big of a thing, and Xbox is the perfect company to do that because they want to make a lot of money now on hardware. They don't care about it as much. They're not looking to compete in that space. So instead, they can throw their weight around with games, with software. They're the ones who can afford to lose money and just make it up in volume and can actually say, well, Call of Duty is $70. Everybody else, your move. The important thing about that for us is that in this competition, in this race to see who decides the price, who offers better quality, who has a better service for us, they are all fighting to be better and therefore to earn our money. When competition is fierce, the customer is the one who wins in the end. If Xbox wants to come out and fight this and say, hey, we are the good guys, we want to earn your goodwill and your brownie points by standardizing $70 for the industry, just throw our weight behind that, that's good for us. Everybody has to obey. Xbox technically takes a loss, and they're doing that because they're losing in this race as they pivot to whatever new world of Windows-based gaming things. And just, well, we have to talk about Xbox and Game Pass one day. It's just the day is not that day. And the other thing that matters here is that this doesn't decide the new pricing model of all video games. It just decides the new pricing cap. It decides the top end. The variety that we've seen in pricing in games these last few years is not going to go away. We're still going to see games that come out at 40, at 50, at 60, and the next game of the year might release for 20. The next game of the year might be Balatro 2. That sort of variety where we're seeing so many different studios and publishers decide on slightly out-of-the-box prices and try and really pinpoint where they think they're going to hit the target audience, where they're going to speak to you and say, hey, I think this is worth this money and that the most people will agree, is still going to happen. It's just that if the cap is at 70, that slows down whatever we're headed towards because it's all rolling with it. The moment that the cap is $80, you start seeing more and more indie games instead of at 20, at 30. You start to see your Expedition 33s and your Wu Changs go from 50 to 60 because they're still positioned relatively cheaply compared to the top end. But if the top end is capped at 70, they'll stay at 50. And while eventually, depending on, well, not very relevant to video games, but macroeconomic changes and the overall economic landscape and the quality of life, and I mean, yes, inflation calculators, but really it has more to do with average spending across the median of whatever. The point is, the more we can slow that down, the more accessible that video games are, and the more people can get into them, play them, enjoy them, have fun. And to me, that's what matters the most, that we have the easiest access to games and the ability to enjoy them. And well, for many people, especially people who do subscribe to Game Pass while it's here and somehow working, the truth is that Game Pass might be there, but these changes in prices from Microsoft are important to everything outside of Game Pass as well. That's why you should care about it. That's why you should look at this as something positive. Sure, there is a ton of just market manipulation and perception that you have of the Xbox brand and what they're doing with this. But if in the end it benefits us, I'd say that we shouldn't ask those many questions. Now, looking towards the future, when are we going to change in prices? We don't know. Maybe this is horrible language from Xbox, and actually Call of Duty is going to cost $90. Maybe GTA 6 comes out for $100 or $150 if you want some extra shark cards at the start. You got to get a head start on gambling on cars or whatever kids are doing these days in their online video games. Maybe those things come to pass, but at least for today, the conversation has taken a turn into recognizing that $80 is pricing out the hobby. It's too much for too many people. And we don't like it. Seems we've been saying it, and seems that we said it loud enough for somebody to want to take advantage of that noise. So good on you, Xbox, for firing 2,300 people the other day, but at least you listened to what we said about the prices. What a feel-good way to end the video. The industry's doing fine, guys. Jobs are sustainable. I mean, I like to be as positive as I can when I can, but like, let's be honest, guys. They fired 2,300 people. They sold Tango Gameworks. maybe not the brightest people over there. Okay, maybe that's crossing a line. So hey, the point is, there's a lot of goings on within the industry, including bad stuff. Let's not forget that Xbox continues to fire pretty much everybody left and right. Well, I guess Microsoft in total, and then tells them to not seek therapy because that's expensive. Just talk to ChatGPT. That'll get you through your post-firing depression. But they at least understand their business enough somehow to make a statement here that is beneficial to the whole of the industry, or at least, from my perspective, the customer, which at the end of the day is who I'm gonna care about the most. Oh no, please leave the billion-dollar company alone. But that's where we are, and that's pretty good. So thanks to Borderlands and Xbox. That's wrong. That can't be right. That can't be a thing I say, right? Like, thank you, Borderlands, for being $70, and thank you, Xbox. That's not a real thing, but I guess I did say it. Anyways, like, I guess we gotta take the good and the bad and just celebrate the good when you can, and complain about the bad. Which is what I do here on the channel, and if you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I do this all the time. But really, thank you so much for watching, and a very special thanks to the members and the patrons up on the wall who directly support everything that I do here. And no matter what happens, go out there, enjoy some great video games, and I'll see you again very soon.